Hello there, Crafty Doer. Jessica Michaels here. Welcome to the Crafty Doings Mixed Media Paper Crafts. Welcome if you are new. This video is for a cherry on top and our monthly YouTube hop. For the month of May, the theme is flower, so I will be creating a floral card. So grab a comfy chair, grab all your crafty things, and let's get into the crafty doings. I will be diving into my Tim Holtz and Ranger stash for this card. I'm using Stampers' Anonymous French Garden by Tim Holtz, the Sizzix Lace Embossing Folder, also by Tim Holtz, the Sizzix Thinlits by Tim Holtz, and a handful of Distress Spray Stains and Distress Archival ink. Now I need archival ink to stamp these gorgeous images so that when I go in and apply spray stain, the stamped image doesn't smear. Because it is waterproof and a permanent ink, these are perfect for stamping and then watercoloring afterwards. Now I am obsessing over these French flowers. I want to say they're peonies. The detail in Stampers Anonymous and their stamps are just flawless. This ink is perfect because it stamps so crisp and so clean, and the colors, because there are distress color palettes, they're so beautiful and vibrant and match perfectly with or complement the colors for the distress spray stains. Look at that image. I absolutely love it. And it's okay that I smudged it because I am going to do quite a bit of fussy cutting for this card. Now, I'm not sure how many of these flowers I'm going to need for the card, but to be safe, I love to have extras than not have enough and have to stop in the middle of my project to repeat this process that I've already moved past. I'm going to print or stamp, I should say. I say print because that just feels like I'm printing. That is just how beautiful these stamps are, along with the archival ink. But anywho, I'm going to do 2 of each flowers in both colors. And then to keep my stamp clean, I just stamp a clean paper towel and wipe off the excess ink. Next, I'm going to go in with these leaves and evergreen bow. I am a huge fan of evergreen bow. It is, I think, the perfect medium between a green and a blue. And I think it complements the pink and the bright orange that I have up here with the florals. And again, I don't know how many I'm going to need, and if I have any extras, those are always fantastic for my junk journals and art journals for later. So before moving forward, I am going to hit these stamped images with my heat drying tool to help to ensure that they are completely dry, to avoid any smudging, because the next process is going to go in with some distress spray stain. So making sure that these images are completely dry will ensure, once again, not to smear them up. So I'm not much of a watercolorist. In fact, I avoid it at all costs. I wish I was. I think watercoloring is such a beautiful process, and the results are just organic and pretty. And so I'm going to do my best to mimic watercoloring by using my distress spray stains. And here I have a darker, medium, and light shade. And I did look up a picture of a peony, and it seems to me that most of the flowers have a darker bottom, and then when they blossom, or you look towards the top of it, it goes to light. So that is what I'm going to attempt to recreate. Now, this stamped image helps with that idea, because you'll notice that a lot of the areas at the bottom and on the inside of the flower are full inked images. And so all I have to really do is follow that direction with my darkest spray stain and kind of go over it and maybe spill over a little bit. And then after I'm done with the first dark spray stain, I'm going to go in with the medium and go up higher in the flower. And then finally with my lightest color, which is Tattered Rose, and then blend that way at the top. What helps blend is adding a little bit of water to the spray stain, and then literally blending all the colors. But the first thing is to add that color first. Kind of let it dry a little bit. There's no need to set it aside or hit it with the heat drying tool. I think just by the time you paint the first color and then come back around with the second one, it should be dry enough. And then that's how I was able to get that beautiful blending result. I actually quite enjoyed this process. I'm more happy with the pink flowers than the orange ones, but I love that I went out of my comfort zone and tried this technique. Now I am going to dry these with my heat drying tool, because the next step is to fussy cut. And if you ever fussy cut in the past, if your paper is not completely dry, it will tear. And I don't want that, especially after I spend such a long time coloring these beautiful flowers. And one thing that I did learn about fussy cutting with my years of scrapbooking and just paper crafting is a good pair of fussy cut scissors. Now I started off with like the itty bitty tiny scissors, and then I graduated to these. I know that there's many other ones out there that are a little bit more like ergonomically designed for fussy cut, but I landed on these and I'm very happy with them. I'm not quite sure what they're called exactly, but you have to squeeze in order to cut. It did take a little bit of practice to get used to them, because we're used to the open and close motion with regular scissors. But I'm telling you, this is a life saver as far as saving strength in your hand, or avoiding pain in your hand. And unfortunately the shop does not have these scissors right now, but they are a Fiskar brand, and I'm sure that they will pop them back in the shop soon. I can keep you posted, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut all of these flowers, including the beautiful everbow green colored leaves, and then we'll move on to the next step. When I fussy cut, I do like to leave a tiny sliver of white border around my images, because it makes it easier to go in these tiny spaces with my X-Acto knife and not have to worry about getting super close to the edge. It gives me some wiggle room, and I also think it helps the image pop out from whatever mixed media background I'm going to be adding these images to. Okay, now that I have the fussy cut out of the way, I am going to spritz my cardstock lightly with water, and then I'm going to put it in this gorgeous lace embossing folder and watch magic happen. The reason behind spritzing the cardstock lightly with water is to prevent it from cracking when running it through the embossing machine. And now I'm going to assemble these flowers onto the panel. Once I decide where I want them, I'm also going to play around with the position of the green leaves and then use my favorite Art Institute glitter glue to adhere them down to the panel. One of those satisfying things for me when I'm crafting is to clip off the edges of a project like these leaves. For one, it is super easy because you're just going along the edge of the panel, but two, like when I turn the paper over and the reveal, it's so pretty, it's so clean. Like I knew what it was gonna look like, but then just to see the finished result is so satisfying for me. What I'm gonna do now is grab a black piece of cardstock and die cut the word beautiful using the Sizzix Thinlits by Tim Holtz. I am going to take that extra step to dry the glue on my card because when I adhere it down to my base, then it has the opportunity to warp and when it's finishing drying. So just a little pro tip, I guess, or in case you forget. I absolutely love the cherry foam tape that you can always get at a cherry on top, and I absolutely love using it to raise my panels on my base, my card bases. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Next, it is time to adhere my sentiment, and I did kind of put a little bit too much glue on there, but no big deal. I'm just going to dab it on my damp paper towel to get rid of some of it so I don't have any spillage when I push it down against my panel. And what's really cool about this Thinlit is that when I pushed it down, it almost hugged all the curves and the textures of the flowers, the leaves, and the embossed folder. So it kind of looks like it is printed on there. One last detail is to use this linen thread. And I wish I would have thought about this before I put down my panel, but of course I have a terrible habit, and you will learn that, of letting my project simmer while it sits there for a few hours, sometimes a day, and I go back to put it away or look at it again the second time around, and after I've slept on it and I want to add some more. So I thought of adding this linen thread, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be to add it last minute. All I had to do was lift my panel up just a tiny bit and slip the thread on the edges of the card. I did it both on top and bottom. I also did add a tiny little dot of glue in the center to hold that thread down. And lastly, I added a tiny itty bitty little black bow at the bottom. Here's the final look to this floral card for the month of May, floral theme. YouTube hop, don't forget to hop along and watch all the other paper crafts. Comment for your chance to win a $25 gift card to a Cherry on top. I truly do hope that you were inspired and encouraged today to reach for your mixed media. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next crafty doings.